I have a quick question. You undertook the translation after Simone de Beauvoir had died. Is it helpful to have the author alive when you're doing a translation?
I think it would have been very helpful. Well, very, very helpful because in Simone de Beauvoir's case, there were many difficulties. That's an understatement. And a little difficulty that we were able to solve was simply, what is the subject of this sentence? And what is whom does the pronoun refer to? This came up constantly. And we asked French experts, and we got contradictory answers, and we went back and forth, so it would have been very helpful. And that goes back to the question about the editing. I honestly think that Simone de Beauvoir could have used a better editor, or an editor, because there are repetitions, there are ambiguous sentences, but that's not our role. Our role was not to improve, and how pretentious to even say improve upon her text, was not to change her text. So we translated it, but yes, I would have liked to say, "Hi, Simone, can you help me?"
But you also...
Oh, no.
No. But you have to understand that when you spend that much time reading somebody's language and putting that language into another language, you become extremely intimate with the person. Mm-hmm. So, of course, you do want to meet that person.
Yes.
So we set out to meet everybody that we could, to go to every conference, as Lillian knows, to meet everybody that we could that did have contact with her, that was expert, and we were always willing to listen and to hear what they had to say, and people were very happy to share their experiences that they had with her. We learned a lot about her. That's why you almost don't trust biographies anymore, because we learned so much from people about her. And Sylvie Le Bon de Beauvoir was so helpful for us and did so much to encourage us. And we liked Sylvie. Should we talk about the semicolon?
Sure.
We had this issue about the semicolon. This is no joke, let me tell you. Because we translated at least 100 pages removing the semicolon, because we just don't use semicolons this way anymore. And then we started moving through the text, and we started to understand her text much, much better. You know, we kept going back and changing things, because as you get into the text, a text this dense, you begin to understand things that you didn't understand when you start. Okay, so then 100 or so pages in, we realized that we had to have the semicolon. All of a sudden one day it was a eureka. Yes, but of course, now we see why she's using the semicolon. She uses the colon a lot too. We went back, we retranslated, and we put the semicolon back in. Just about that time, we were introduced to Sylvie Le Bon de Beauvoir. We had our first lunch. Anne Solange Nub took us to lunch with her. And we were very nervous, of course, but we liked her right away. And we all drank a glass of champagne to the new translation. And she said, "What are you going to do about the semicolon?" And we said, because she knew the issue, and we said, "We are keeping the semicolon." And she raised her glass of champagne and she said, "Vive le point virgule." She was so happy about that.
Mm-hmm. Someone at the back there, though. Yeah.
Knopf has always been the major American purveyor of European literature and translation. And after tonight's story, one wonders how one should feel about Knopf translations. And so is there any larger picture of the Knopf practice? Was this atypical incident in the golden age of Blanche and Alfred? Or is this something that we should suspect happened on a fairly frequent basis?
Go ahead.
Can you hear me? Is this working?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, a couple of points. I mean, it's a company, so there's, over the years, there's many different people involved in the project, the translators who are totally committed. Again, one very important point, this is personal correspondence. So I'm sure if we were to read other people's emails and eavesdrop on their conversations, we would hear all kinds of things that we say. So, and they wouldn't probably be very pleasant. I think the ultimate point is that they did want to publish this book. They did see a value in it. We may disagree with what they have said, the way they viewed the book, but they did see some value in it, and they wanted to publish it, although it was, for them, it was quite a bit of a hassle as well. They put in a lot of hours, the editor-in-chief as well, and some of it may have come out in frustration. Some of it's, just personal correspondence. Again, it is a business, so they have to look into aspects. They do assume financial risks when they publish certain books. So for that, we have to give them credit. But yeah, I have to, of course, the comments were not very nice, so you have to wonder why they thought that, or were they just joking? But ultimately, the reason why I was so passionate about the project was that the translator was so committed to it. And I think the translator really took it, to the end. So,
maybe
yeah.
I can add something. I think that's an aspect of translation studies where translation studies could go and study the condition of a publisher over 20 years of producing translations and trace how those translations reflect the publisher's policies and how then the reception of those translated works is different because of the publisher's policies. It's a very complex area to look at.
Well, it is amazing to hear them say that existentialism is a dead duck at a time when they're the American publishers of Camus and so on and so forth. Yeah. And you really wonder what was going on. But it's a fascinating story, and I congratulate you on having brought it out for us.
Right here, there's someone who's,
No, I just wanted to know really what made the difference after 2001 for the publisher to release the rights. And number two, weren't there many other people out there that really wanted to do that translation? What made it that you got the translation?
I don't know how many other people wanted to do it. I would imagine that people would want to do it, but nobody really was able to do it. You had to be more or less retired. You had to be a little bit crazy. It took us 4 years of work, literally night and day, as you know. It was incredibly mobilizing. I mean, that's all we did for 4 years. Okay, so I don't know how many other people wanted to do it. We never knew about that.
Everyone wanted it done.
Everyone wanted it done.
We had never heard of anybody who wanted to do it.
Really made the difference that they should release
I think that what made the difference is, first of all, the article by Sarah Glazer, and that we mentioned, and then Anne Solange Noble really wanted to do it, and she is a consummate professional in the field of foreign rights, and she knows everybody in the business, and she decided when she was encountering the difficulties on the American side, what she did was go to the British side, and by chance, Jonathan Cape is in the same group as Knopf, and she found this incredible editor, Ella Alfrey, who, even though she had never done an international book of this size and complexity, she was willing to take it on. And it was an enormous job for her as well. And she decided to do it. So she accepted the responsibility, the main responsibility for the translation. So we worked with her. We did not have any any contact, well, no, we didn't have any contact with the American side until the British version was out, and that was arranged by the two publishing houses, that Jonathan Cape would be the ones to take the responsibility. So I think those were the things that helped make it happen in the end.
Anne Solange had a sentence that she used to say every time she'd come to a dead end about this translation: I will never surrender. As a matter of fact, she's quoted in a newspaper.
Very melodramatic.
Having said that.
There's a young man right here who I caught. Somebody right here. Oh, next, okay? Just a sec.
Hi, I have a general question about translation. It's, if for instance, there is a language to which the book isn't translated yet, how is the process goes to make the translation? I mean, who takes the initiative, and how it does work?
What happens is that somebody in a country says that they, for example, they have a grant or they have the funds necessary to do it, and they go to Anne Solange, and she sells them the rights to do that translation. It's as simple as that. Mm-hmm. There's no mystery about that.
But the rights had already been bought for the English ones.
How much does it cost?
I have no idea. And it depends on the country, and it depends on the policy of the country, whether the government is involved. But these are questions that are technical questions. We are not editors. We're just the translators.
Mm-hmm. Knopf, to defend Knopf a little bit, I think that it's true that those are personal letters, and at that time, I think edition, maison d'édition, publishing houses, did really transform the works they were translating. You could tell us for sure, but I know that the Russians were very
innovative.
There was a lot of interference and intervention.
A lot of interference by translators, so by the publishing houses. So you can't really blame them completely. And I think they've bought themselves back, because the work that they did on this, on the proofreading and the fact-checking, and the amount of people who spent time on this book was phenomenal. I didn't ever expect that.
But it is interesting that it took 60 years for an integral translation to appear in English, when tiny countries like Finland and Slovenia and Albania and bigger countries like Algeria have had their translations from the French. Oh no, well, Algeria wouldn't need one. That's not a good example. That's not a good example. But maybe, but from Arabic, yeah. But there is a translation from Arabic, I think.
There is.
But Vietnam, many, I don't remember how many countries, but maybe 60 countries have translated the book already, and tiny countries. So
yeah, countries, languages that I had never heard of.
That's right.
This book has been translated into.
They put tremendous effort into it, the countries and the publishing houses, to do a translation.
Yeah. Right here. Do you still have the mic in your lap?
I do, and I have a quick question. How did the book do commercially in 1953?
Oh, in English?
Oh. It was enormous.
It was enormous, and it still sells. That was another example. That was another reason that they didn't want to do it. It was selling. It was still selling.
This truly is one of, if not the great book of the 20th century, that as far as changing the demographics of the Western world, of changing people's ideas, people's thinking, it's really, I can't think of one other book except maybe Das Kapital or something, you know, that has had that kind of impact on society, causing a revolution without fighting a revolution by a book. And that's pretty amazing.